I've been researching for the past year and a half on what to do. And honestly, I came across Mike on Instagram. It's at about 7,000 a month right now without my machines, without me touching it. If you don't know what you're doing, don't make the mistakes by doing it yourself. I'm so very happy and thankful that I did sign up for it because it's completely worth it. Finally, I found something that it got me motivated again to get back up and get my ass off the couch.
Thanks everyone for joining. Jesse, thank you for joining me here today, this afternoon, and taking some time out of your, I know you were just stocking a couple machines, and so I appreciate you spending some time here with me and kind of going over, like your story and and everything like that as well too. So I'm really excited to kind of have you on.
Thanks for having me, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of, just tell me a little bit about your story, what your journey is. Like, what was the problem you were experiencing prior to joining Vendingpreneurs?
I guess my problem is essentially I have a food truck and I've had a food truck for the past 10 years now, and I live in South Dakota. Well, in South Dakota, the wintertime comes around and I don't have anything to do, and I watch my money supply go up in the summertime and I watch it dwindle away in the wintertime, and I've had to watch this for 9 years now. And so that, for the past year and a half, I've been researching and researching and researching and researching on some kind of other income, type of income that would not only go with me and what I could do, but also something that I could scale. So this town has become so overpopulated with food trucks now that I maybe get 4 months a year. And, it didn't used to be like that because I used to be the only one here. Scratch, go forward 10 years later, there's 70 of these things in a town no bigger than 100,000 people. And
Oh,
so,
wow.
I'm just getting, forcefully removed from what I created, which sucks to see, but at the same time, you got to go with the punches and stay ahead of the game. And so I did try to sell out 2 years ago when I was at the top, and, I feel like nobody wants to buy that business because everybody can go buy a trailer and just get into that themselves, so why would you spend a couple hundred to buy mine out? So yeah, like I said, basically I've been researching for the past year and a half on what to do. And I came across Mike on Instagram, and I started
Mhm.
following Mike, and I started just, for, about 6 months out of this year, just, I didn't sign up. I didn't do anything. I was just following him, and I would ask him a random
Yeah.
question here on out, and he would actually respond. And so the fact that he would actually respond to me, just some random guy on Instagram, I thought it was actually, pretty cool that you would help
Yeah.
somebody, when you don't need to do that. And so that I thought was absolutely pretty cool too. My second season here in business, wintertime came around and I had to find something to do. Sodexo is another like Aramark. So they go
Yeah.
and they do food across big locations. And so there's a huge call center here. They were, they're involved with Synchrony Financial. They had a contract with all the Synchronies across the United States. So there happened to be a call center here. They happened to come up here, and there was enough people that they wanted to start a little restaurant. So
Yeah.
in the planning process of the restaurant starting, they started a C-store. Well, they needed somebody to take care of that, and found me somehow, on the internet, love the internet. And so Joe was his name. Joe reached out, and, we met and talked. And for the first 6 months of them planning this, I took care of their C-store for them, doing fruit cups, doing parfaits,
Got it.
sandwiches, stocking their shelves for them. So it something, I'd already had experience in doing it.
Yeah.
The hard part was going forward was, finding a location. And so, again, just watching these videos of people doing this for the past 6 months, I was like, okay, I think I got a feel for it. It's wintertime. I can concentrate on flipping over because I can't, we do big events like the Sturgis Rally here. So in the summertime, I don't have time to concentrate on doing another business. But in the wintertime, watching all my money go away, I definitely have time to concentrate on another
Yeah.
business. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so September, October came around, and I started talking with my wife about it. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to try. There's
Yeah.
nothing for me to do here. It's wintertime. I used to be a construction background. I'm not going to go play in the dirt when it's 20 below, and nobody does that. You know what I mean?
What was
Everybody.
your trade?
I used to dig. So I used to dig utilities. So
Got it.
coming from Denver, I had a construction company where, we dig utilities for bigger contracts like Whole Foods and things like that.
Yeah.
Got out of business there, and, just hard crap story is, 3 months later, my business partner who took it over ran it into the ground and bankrupted. And so I received two payments from that buyout. And then going forward, I was screwed,
Yeah.
hosed. And so that's, what prompted me to start. I've never been a 9 to 5. I've never had, corporate anything. I've literally had a construction job, and then I flipped that into a construction company. And, I didn't like working for anybody. And so the story of the food truck, I literally was sitting on the couch with my mom, who was dying of cancer at the time, watching the food truck race. And I saw this idiot from the Jersey Shore on this show running a food truck. And I'm
Mm,
like, I can do this.
yeah.
I used to work, I used to do food, back in the day when I was growing up. Like, this is something that I can do. And lo and behold, easy enough. You can build a trailer, get into it. And so, past 10 years growing that business, like I said, just watching it go up and down, I had to find something else to scale into. And scaling a restaurant and a food truck here in Rapid City just didn't work. I tried, and it didn't happen, and it didn't work. And now, like I said, it's just there's too many of them here to be profitable to where I can extend it out my whole season and not have to do stuff in the wintertime now.
Got it. So we're having this conversation December 2025, which you could kind of see because I got the Christmas Santas behind me here at my house. When did you join the Vendingpreneurs program? Like what date or what month was it?
Last month. So I can't remember the exact day, but it was the middle of November.
Got it. Why did you choose like Vendingpreneurs program over any other option, or like maybe like doing it yourself? Like what was the main factor? What was the deciding factor for you to kind of join the community?
I had already, before I started the community, started reaching out to places about placing machines because I knew that I was going to do it. And so the first meeting that I took was actually the day that I signed up in November. Is the first meeting that actually called me back. And so I
Oh, wow.
needed I needed a flyer. I needed a contract. I needed something, right, to bring in and produce. And so Lyle literally signed me up, 8 o'clock that morning. By 11 o'clock, I was signed up and had everything that I needed to go lock down this apartment complex. And
Oh,
so,
that's awesome. Yeah.
I got it yesterday. So I got everything signed yesterday, got the machine ordered yesterday, so it's coming. So that's my third one that I've placed so far. And so just wanting to get into it, I guess, and practice a little bit. My mother-in-law works at an office building that has about 40, 45 people in it. And so I talked to the property manager. He was like, yeah, cool. We don't have anything like that. So I got one in there. And then my two of my employees that work for me, their dad owns the biggest dentist office in Rapid City. And so they have, 35, 40 employees there too. And so I was like, well, it's a start to get it in there, to learn these machines. I don't need them to make me money right off the bat because I have my food truck business and I have the income from that. So if I can just get the machines into these places and practice with them and get them figured out, so I know going forward, talking to the apartments going forward, I know a little bit more about them. And so I placed it in the dentist office and my mother-in-law's office, the same day right before Thanksgiving. And that Monday, I got them stocked, loaded, figured out, and they've been making a little bit of money since.
Well, that's incredible. So yeah, you joined, you hit the ground running. You got after the material, got the resources of what you needed, and you went out there and started closing transactions with doing that. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Good for you. That's incredible. What do you think besides the contracts and the flyer? What other part of the Vendingpreneur program do you think that made the biggest impact for you to have success as quickly as you did within the first 30 days of the community?
Just, also being able to talk to people. There's a few people in the community already that are, I I can't remember what you call yourself. Uh,
Oh, an
what do you call
ambassador?
yourself? Ambassador. So there's a couple, like Lee. I reached out to Lee because she said that she'd do a lot about the haha machines, and so I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, awesome. So she's been a super big help with setup and what to do, and she had this big long list of that she sent me, and she's like, here's what you need to bring. Here's how you set up the machines. Here's what you do exactly. Jesus, probably saved me an hour, hour and a half by not having
Yeah.
to, oh crap, I got there and I need, a wire cutter because I can't cut the zip ties. And so I would have never known that. And so, just silly little things like that are super helpful along the way, save you time. I since then, like literally on Monday, I bought an 18 drink machine rep. And so 18 drink machines already placed, already making money. And so I took that over this week. So I've been going through the machines, going through locations. So I posted pics up right away on the website, and just advice, asking advice from the people that have been around for a lot longer than I have about, hey, this type of machine is in this location. What do you guys think? What items can I varietize in the machine, because he has a lot of the same items in it, and I think that I can up the prices a little bit and produce better products in there, and then even scale it better than what he was doing, because he wasn't really taking care of it, because he had a different side business on the side that actually took off faster than the vending, and so his parents started taking care of it, and they just
Yeah.
weren't putting the time or the time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like there's opportunity like everywhere. I feel like that story of like how you bought that route, like I feel like I mean, I don't know the numbers on it, but like I feel like you probably got a like pretty good discount just because it was kind of becoming an issue, like a forgotten type of business for this guy, not being operable, the right way efficiently. I mean, I know with me building on my route, I took over a lot of locations of subpar operators. And it was
Yeah.
just an opportunity for me to kind of go ahead and take it. Like, and with me coming from real estate, I viewed these locations as like estate sales or foreclosures where, hey, there's a great potential here. You just have to run it and, put some paint on the walls, remodel the kitchen, and then, go back in there. But I mean, I'll say on some of the locations that I even took over, I put the same exact smart AI machine in there. It was just the operator was bad.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity everywhere, man. I mean, that's pretty inspiring that you were able to move as quickly as you have within the first 30 days of having this confidence of installing a couple locations or 3 locations in 30 days, and then also acquiring, that route that you did as well. I mean, so, I mean, you're going all in here. So like, what are like some of like what are your goals here? You're 30 days in, you got 3 locations, you just bought a route. Like what do you see for your goals here? I mean, you're going to, get rid of the
So
food truck business and go vending full time, but like, seriously, like, what are your goals? Like, what are you
no,
looking to do?
that really honestly is the goal, Anthony. Is that I have a son, I have 3 kids, and my oldest
Okay.
is, I got a year and a half left of him to graduate, and then I'm out. Like, I'm out of here. I don't enjoy it very much here. We moved from Colorado to here to get closer to family, and it's just many things of it. Anyways, so my plan is my son wants to stay here, and so I can give him my house, and if I can get 40 machines going by the time I leave in the next year and a half, that's my goal, is one machine a month for the next 17 months. And I have 23 of them right now, because I got the drink route had 18 locations, but it had a couple, they were big enough to have a couple in the same location. So I'm up to 23. I need 17 more in the next basically year and a half. So I need one a month, you know what I mean, to get there. And like I said, this is extra income. And so I get that I'm not, I scaled my way up with the food truck to be able to creatively finance this route. And now, 5 years, this thing will be completely mine, cash flowing me whatever I can get it up to then. It's at about 7,000 a month right now without my machines, without me touching it. And so whatever, I pay him a little bit each month, and then from the food truck after I get done, I pay him a lump sum every month. And so interest-free loan, literally could not get it financed through a bank, and he knew that. And so he even financed it for me. And so best part, free loan, free money, you can't turn that down.
Yeah. What's really what's really cool is that a lot of entrepreneurs, and you've been one your whole life. I mean, like just listening to your story of like, your construction business, your food truck business, now to your vending business, is that entrepreneurs, they always feel like they're like, when you're talking to people, it's like, hey, okay, I'm going to make this, I'm doing this because I want to make this money, and I got to do this and I got to do that. And it's like, you got to find, not trying to sound cliche, but there's a reason why people say it. You have to find your why.
Yeah.
You have found your why because you want to set your son up here, and you got your timeline and your goals of where you're going to be, one machine a month. Like, you have everything outlined and you have that. Now that stuff can change. You can be agile as you're kind of building that out, but you
Yes.
know why your why is. And then when the days and when you have the sniffles or when it sucks and then you don't want to roll out of bed, you're going to be getting your butt out of bed because there's a different purpose. It's
Right.
not just
And
about
my,
money.
and my wife doesn't work, so it's all on me to provide and get all this
And
stuff.
you're
And
leveraged.
I'm very thankful that I can keep her at home, and she doesn't have to drop kids off at the babysitter, one of the worst places you can take a kid. And so, like I said, I'm very thankful to be able to get by on what we do. We're not rich, but all I need is, I'm getting to the point where I'm 44 and I want to by 55 be financially free, traveling with my wife, going to see our kids at that point because they'll be off, in life. And so
Yeah.
that's my further on goal. That's my 10-year goal is if I can move on from here because it's not a huge market. There's only about 100,000 people here. So there's already and the thing that I can't even tell you how lucky I got, right? So this machine, the machines that I got, he bought them from the bigger vending guy in town. He's got 5 vans, full on 5 employees, routes every single day, hundreds of locations like you, I'm sure, Anthony. And so he only does snacks. And so I have this guy's information and I can tail him to every location I can that Coke and Pepsi haven't already taken. And it's easy for me to go take this guy's information and scale it. Hey, where's your busiest spot? And let me go from there and let me tell you. And so I got that in.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I also got that in, if I can't find, because there's not a lot of apartment, you know what I mean? There's no high rise downtown. There's not,
Yeah.
the 5 that are in this town, I've already contacted and got on lockdown. And so going forward, this town isn't a super great place to grow. But if I can get out of here in a year and a half and hand this one off, then I can go get started in another location.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Everyone, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Hey, Jesse, thank you for everything here of what we're going over. So that's interesting with what you're saying of how you're scheduling, how you're kind of like being creative with how you're targeting certain locations. And, I know you just joined the community really fresh, but like one of the things, and dude, like, so 2 years ago when I joined, like the community was not like what it is now. Like there wasn't ambassadors, there wasn't all these daily calls and ambassador calls. You had the network in the community. You had a lot of successful operators where I was able to use as my pseudo board of directors to be talking to people, but we didn't have the support and all these live calls of like what happens like day to day now where the community, and it's a testament to Mike for his reinvestment back into the community. But like one of the other things that he's working on and finalizing right now that I'm helping with is like these Coke and Pepsi deals. Like once we establish those relationships and those are going to be ready to go by Q1 of 2026, like your margin of the pricing of what we're going to be able to get compared to club from them direct, because we have a strength in numbers mass discount, from the community, like your margin and your profitability on your route is going to increase. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal. I'm excited about my route. I mean, with you over there, with having somebody that's not even touching the drink market, whew, that excites me. I might be moving out there.
Hey, I might need a partner if I get too many locations.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And like I said, my brothers live in a whole nother town that it's a big college town. It's littered with apartments, like big, you know what I mean? They're not massive high rises, but they're, 300-400 unit apartments that, if I can get into those, that that area as well. And so that's my next, after I get this one locked down, that's where I'm going next.
Got it. No, cool. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but like, I know it's so fresh of being in, but can you see like where your life transformation is kind of coming in here of like what you could see for your life going forward with you having like, with all the success that you had in the first month, like just even 6 months or a year in the business. I mean, do you see what the potential can be of like running this business, of where you're, how it's going to be able to change like your lifestyle, your family, dynamics of traveling once you start outsourcing some people out, hiring people, and kind of trying to turn it into a semi-passive or even an ultra passive, depending on whatever your goals are. Each one is different. Every operator is different, but do you see the potential? Have you started to feel and taste it yet?
So that's what I've been envisioning is, so, me and my wife want to get out of here. We love to travel and that's what we want to do. So that's my goal. Like I want to grow this thing to the point where, like you said, I can have, a few of my food truck employees here. I'm never going to give up that cash flow. The events that I got into here make too much money to be able to, so I'll always come back here in the summertime. And so
yeah,
just, if I can be able to in the wintertime, kick that to my employees here, and then, they'll have a full-time route, or like I said, my son, if he wants to stay here, I can leave and I can travel on to my next source of business. I can, take my wife in my van to the beach. So I have a, I used to, when I was working construction, I would leave at 4:30 in the morning. I lived in Denver, and I wouldn't get home till 6 at night, 7 at night. My role was to put my daughter to sleep. I didn't get to see my daughter grow up. She was 8 before I started the food truck thing, and so I lost all of that. So I begged my wife for, begged her for another child. And so COVID hit. So we had to get past COVID, didn't want to have, deal
Yeah.
with all that garbage. Got past COVID, we got to a point where like, hey, if it doesn't happen by this time, it won't. So lo and behold, we got to spend 3 months in Florida, packed up the kids, homeschooled them for a little bit. And this is what drove me, is that
Yeah.
3 months living in Destin, Florida in our camper on the beach, walks on the beach every day, like the thing that you like dream about. Like I lived it for 3 months and I could just taste it. I can still taste it. And so the fact that
Yeah.
I've already done it and lived it, like that's what I'm fighting to get back to.
For sure. Hey, where do you think you would be at right now if you didn't join the Vendingpreneur program? Like if Mike didn't write you back on Instagram, like where do you think you would be at right now?
I honestly, I don't know. Probably working at a crappy job in the wintertime because that's
Yeah.
probably what I would have turned to or tried to force my wife into getting a crappy job in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Because again, I've always been looking for a mentor for I have my mentor for my food trucking. He's helped me so much. And so to be
Yeah.
able to have a whole community of them now for so many people to respond back to you the minute you put a post up, and I'm sure if the more, and I've only been in it for a month, the more I'm not even through school yet,
Yeah.
and so the
Yeah.
more the more I dig into it and have the time to go through this, it's only going to get better. And so I don't honestly, I guarantee you, I wouldn't be as far as I am now because I would have looked at that drink route and been like, what am I going to do with that? And so
Yeah.
not knowing that it will put money in my pocket every month while also paying him and paying it off for the next 5 years, like, again, I watched enough of these real estate guys to know that, if you can buy an apartment complex and have a cash flow for 5 years and you gain the equity in that apartment, not only are you gaining the equity, you cash flowed yourself for 5 years. So it's the same process and concept, just on a way tinier scale.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. If someone wanted to replicate your success of how quickly you had it in like 30 days, what steps would you say they should follow first?
Oh God. Again, I got so lucky, you guys. Like I can't even be more grateful and thankful. Just stumbling upon that drink route and having him finance for me, like that was massively huge. I guess it's just, you know, getting over the nerves of going to talk to people is your biggest thing. Like I feel like that was my biggest obstacle so far.
Yeah.
Like cutting out the nerves, go talk to these people. You just have to get the experience of walking in there. Mike has scripts on there. Take the script, take it with you. It's a great first start. And so,
Yeah.
you're not going to have every answer to every question that they ask. I've only been in a few meetings now, but I don't have the answer to every question that they ask. And so, like you said, it's great to be able to say, "Hey, I am part of a community. Let me go ask, and I'll have an answer for you the next day."
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's great because like one of the things is you just got to get out there and try. I'm a big believer because things didn't happen for me right away like how it did for you. Like I grinded, I failed, I perfected my pitch, listened to an objection, I could prepare as much as possible, but you got to go out there and take the swings. And I feel like if you're consistent every single day, you make your own luck,
Right.
right? And then eventually things will
Consistency is
break
key.
open for you.
Yep. Every day.
So yeah. Yeah, yeah. So like that's kind of like my mantra too, because there were certain times where I wasn't succeeding as quickly as I thought I should be able to, and I was joining and I was going in school and just feeding off of like everybody else's success and wins just to get my mindset right.
Yeah.
To make sure that I didn't think I was going to get therapy out of the community, but I ended up getting it on some days when I needed it. But like you talked about it a little bit earlier on, you're reaching out to Leah. She told you about some exact tools, that you needed to have. So, for your install, like that stuff is invaluable information, to kind of to prepare yourself, for when you're having it delivered, because you have a little anxiousness. It's your first one. It's coming, you want to make sure it goes right. And you want to make sure you don't falter in any way in front of the property manager and all this stuff.
Yep.
And, you want to make sure that you suppress Murphy's Law as much as possible on that day, understanding and knowing all these little nuances of what type of tool that you should be prepared and bringing,
Yep.
helps ease
Yep.
that pain, where in the end will make you more profitable because you're going to be operating at a more efficient level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. So last thing, if someone was on the fence about joining Vendingpreneurs, what would you tell them?
Look, I get it. It's probably usually about the cost, right? But at the same time, like if you don't have if you don't have a correct contract, as far as I'm concerned, anything can happen to you. What if you and if you don't know how, like me, anything tech, I'm an idiot, and I'm sure I could figure out ChatGPT, but I don't. And so all of the stuff that is already on there built for you, ready to go. My wife took full, my wife has to do this, but she took full advantage of all of that stuff, created it. I already after a month think I am so very happy and thankful that I did sign up for it because it's completely worth it. And it just depends on what you're looking for. I had already had a couple leads. I had already had, that drink machine thing was already in the back of my head. And so I just needed, like you, I needed to get on the school and just be like, is it smart? Is it something that I should spend a lot of money on to go buy this route and be locked into for 5 years? I don't even like to be
Yeah,
locked into a phone for 2 years. And so to have a business,
that's
to have
true.
that big of a loan for 5 years, it's, buyer's remorse right after you do it. But, getting into it the past couple days and going on the route and filling up all these machines and collecting the money and getting to see, you get to hop on the cantaloupe and, all of it's, every time it's making you money daily now. And so
Yeah.
it's incredibly fun to see. And to tell you the truth, I lost my, I I don't know what to say, but I lost my focus on the food truck because I just lost it. I didn't want to do it. I hated doing it. And so, some of I wasn't trying very hard at it. And finally I found something that, it got me motivated again to get back up and get my ass off the couch and, go do something in the wintertime. And so now focusing on this will help me a lot more to get out of the food truck because I don't enjoy it anymore, and focusing on, like I said, something more passive where I can spend more time with that little girl of mine.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. That's incredible. Guys, that was Jesse Lee's story. If you're interested in joining Vendingpreneurs along other successful vending operators like himself, click the link below and book a call with us today. Jesse, grinding in the car, just got done filling machines. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time out of doing it. I mean, I remember when I was doing that as well too, and grinding and putting the work in there when you're stocking and you're picking, you're doing everything, and you're prospecting all in the beginning. So dude, I mean, incredible, like your success in the first 30 days of being part of the program, and I just can't wait to see where you go, dude. Like honestly, like that's what I like. Like this. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on your journey. And, if you ever need anything or anything like that, you know where to find me.
Absolutely, and I appreciate it. And like I said, this community it's been a huge help so far. And if you're on the fence, don't be anymore. Just hop right off it and click that button and join because it's gonna be helpful, and you're gonna want the mentorship of getting you through this. Because if you don't know what you're doing, don't make the mistakes by doing it yourself. Talk to people that have already made the mistakes, and that way you don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Skip a step. I'm huge on
Yep.
skipping steps. There's no
Yep.
reason to recreate the wheel or learn through the school of hard knocks. I agree.
Exactly.